What does history signify? History can be defined as a systematic and careful study of past events. A person who conducts such studies and records the findings is called a historian. Different types of materials and records constitute the basis for carrying out a historical study. History, prehistory, and proto-history. History and proto-history. History essentially signifies the period of time for which written records are available. By studying history, we can know the precise dates of events that took place millennia ago. The reason is that when these events occurred, they were documented in the writings of historians. These documents are important sources of history from which we can get information regarding our past. Prior to the invention of paper, palm leaves, rocks, pillars, clay tablets, copper plates, and bark of the birch tree were used for writing. Invention of the cart and the wheel, the discovery of fire, etc. are some of the most important events of our past. However, we do not know exactly when and where these events took place. Historical studies reveal that they might have taken place long before the practice of documenting history through writing began. The entire period before recorded history is called prehistory. Thus, prehistory encompasses the entire period from the time when human-like beings appeared till the time when the practice of recording past events began. In order to understand prehistory, we depend on the material remains of the past such as bones, tools, weapons, pots, coins, jewelry, cave paintings, etc. These are called artifacts. Between prehistory and the historical period, there was a period for which we have no direct written evidence available from contemporary sources. However, the historical texts composed later suggest their existence and even record with a certain degree of precision some of the major events of that period. Such period is called proto-history. Importance of studying the past events. History is regarded as the systematic record of past events in the order in which they happened. The motivation for studying history comes from the curiosity to know how our predecessors lived in the past. However, it is in fact about a past that has an extremely significant part to play in shaping our present. We can also say that the study of the past makes us understand who we are, what we are at present, and why we live, think, and act the way we do today. By reading history, we gather knowledge about how the modern world has evolved over centuries following a continuous process of development. The study of historical past is also helpful in solving some of the problems we are facing today. For example, history teaches us that wars should be avoided because they have long-lasting harmful effects and are destructive. We also learn from history that a small band of united people can defeat a strong enemy. Furthermore, study of popular practices, ideas, traditions, or institutions help to understand the link between past and present and the changes that these beliefs or practices have undergone over centuries, leading to their present form. Chronology of events. It is not possible to understand history unless the events of the past are in a chronological order. The past events are arranged in order of time, that is, events that happened first are followed by events that happened. This order is known as chronology. In fact, the practice of recording historical events in a particular sequence gives us an idea as to how human beings progressed from the earliest to the latest stages of civilization. However, a chronology without a certain point of reference is not possible. What is this point of reference that the historians adopt? Historians have unanimously recognized the year of Jesus Christ's birth as the reference point from which dates for all historical events are counted. We refer to the events of the past with BCE and CE. BCE, before Common Era, means the years before the birth of Jesus Christ. They are counted backwards. Example: 50 BCE comes before 49 BCE. Similarly, for the years after the birth of Jesus Christ, we use CE, Common Era. These years are counted forward. Example, CE 49 comes before CE 50. CE is also sometimes used for indicating the dates of those historical events that took place after the birth of Jesus Christ. CE stands for Anno Domini, meaning in the year of the Lord. So, 2013 can be written both as CE 2013 or AD 2013. Similarly, we can also use BCE in place of BC to indicate dates before the birth of Jesus Christ. Timeline. Timeline is the graphical representation of historical events in a chronological order. It looks like a long bar and is used to show events along a period of time. It has events on one side of it and their respective dates on the other side. The importance of geographical factors. Since time immemorial, India has been capturing the attention of the outside world for its unique geographical features. Not surprisingly, people from foreign lands kept coming into India throughout our long history with their distinct socio-cultural identities. The northern part of the subcontinent is occupied by the Himalayan mountain range, which has acted as a natural barrier separating India from the Central Asian countries. At the same time, however, the passes in the mountains have served as natural gateways for the arrival of people from outside, facilitating the intermingling and merger of different ideas, people, traditions and cultures. Another salient feature of the Indian subcontinent is the vast, fertile stretch of the Indo-Gangetic plain in the north, below the Himalayas. It was around this fertile plain that the first human settlements in this region came into existence. The third major physical feature of the subcontinent is the southern peninsula, separated from the north by the Vindhyan mountain range. This region is full of mountains, rivers, valleys, and plateaus. During the long course of history, this region has evolved its own distinctive identity, lending a great diversity to the cultural configuration of the subcontinent. In ancient times, people used two trade routes to travel across the region. One of these that linked the Hindu Kush mountain range to the mouth of the river Ganga was called the Uttara Patha. The other route, which covered the area between Gujarat in the west and Pataliputra in the east, was called the Dakshina Path. Though these were primarily trade routes, people used them for other purposes as well. For instance, these routes were used by migrants, monarchs, and military leaders, and spiritual leaders alike to achieve their respective ends. Geographical factors also played a significant part in the way civilizations flourished and declined. The Indus Valley civilization, about which we shall study later, is a noteworthy example. Fertile plains on the banks of the river Indus and its tributaries served as natural means for highly productive agricultural practice. Subsequently, surplus in agricultural produce led to the birth of urban centers. This paved the way for the emergence of different classes of craftspersons and traders. Sources of history. We learn about the events that occurred thousands of years ago through the evidences which our ancestors have left behind. Historians and archaeologists come up with path-breaking information regarding the past with the help of these evidences. The source material studied by historians to get relevant information can be divided into two categories, that is, archaeological and literary. Archaeological sources are discovered and studied under a separate branch or discipline of historical research called archaeology. It is the scientific study of the material remains of the past discovered through excavations conducted at various historical sites. Monuments, coins, sculptures, paintings, weapons, Pottery, ornaments and all other objects or artifacts unearthed through excavations at historical sites are various sources. These sources are often more reliable than the literary sources because they reveal facts clearly and without any bias. Literary sources include a written form. These are important as they record the cultural, social, political, and economic state of affairs of the period during which they were composed. Different scripts such as Brahmi, Kharoshthi, Devanagari, Aramaic, Roman, pictographic, etc. were used to compose these texts. There were many literary texts that were not written and used no script. They were transferred from one generation to the next orally. Let us now discuss the sources of history in greater detail. Archaeological sources. Archaeological sources can be categorized into different types, of which inscriptions, monuments, and coins are the most important. Inscriptions. Writing on pillars, rocks, cave walls, walls of forts, clay tablets, metal plates, houses and tombs, etc. are called inscriptions. These inscriptions provide political and social information of the past. We learn the names of the kings, the religions, and cultural practices of the people, and so on. Monuments. Old buildings such as forts, palaces, temples, mosques, cemeteries, etc., which were built for some special purpose, are called monuments. The study of old monuments showed the artistic skill of that time, the social life, their religious beliefs, their culture, etc. The Sanchi Stupa, the university at Nalanda, the Shore temple at Mahabalipuram, etc. are some examples of ancient Indian monuments. The description of buildings erected for religious or civil purposes, such as temples, stupas, palaces, and private houses, point to the conditions prevailing in ancient times. Monuments of identical character excavated in India and abroad establish a link between various areas of the globe, suggesting that people from ancient India reached foreign lands. The temple of Angkor Wat in Cambodia is an outstanding example. Brahmanical, Buddhist, and Jain monuments help us to know the history of different religious systems in ancient times. Coins. In ancient India, the coins were made of different materials such as bronze, lead, copper, silver, and gold. Through these coins, scholars gather information about the period when they were issued as well as about the rulers who issued them. Coins inform us that many kingdoms of ancient India had commercial relations with other countries. Coins give us chronological information about a particular ruler, his or her domain of influence, and his or her relation with other rulers. Roman coins discovered in India suggest that many ancient kingdoms of India had contact with the Roman Empire. Other objects and artifacts. Other archaeological sources include numerous objects and artifacts found during excavations, such as tools, pieces of pottery, sculptures, paintings, ornaments, etc. They are used as valuable supplementary sources for additional information on the people who created them and the times in which they were made. Numerous terracotta figurines, bronze statues, and steatite seals help in our understanding of the past. Now, archaeologists have even started studying plant remains, animal bones, and food grains found at different sites. The study of artifacts such as paintings, frescoes, and other objects of the past enable us to draw an outline of the history of Indian art. Like the monuments, artifacts are a great source of information. Literary sources. Literary sources include both the written and non-written oral records of the past. Most of the literary sources are handwritten, that is, are manuscripts. Manuscripts contain invaluable information about our past and tell us about the social customs, institutions, classes, professions, religious beliefs and practices, etc. that prevailed in ancient times. Some of them describe economic, scientific, and political developments, thus offering fresh insight into the past that no other source does. These texts have been written in Sanskrit, Pali, Prakrit, or Tamil. They are now preserved mostly in monasteries or libraries. Literary sources can be of different types. Religious and secular sources. Literary texts on religious subjects are called religious literature. The Vedas, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Gita, the Puranas, and Jataka tales are the important sources of ancient Indian history. Literature that has no connection with religion is called secular literature. It includes poetry, drama, plays, travelogues or accounts of foreign travelers, and texts on science, grammar and politics. The Arthashastra of Kautilya on the theory of administration, Vishakadatta's Mudra Rakshasa, the literary masterpieces of Kalidasa, Banabhatta's Harshacharita, etc. are the examples of some secular literary texts of ancient India. Through these pieces of literature, we get glimpses into our rich and glorious past. Indigenous and foreign sources. As we know, many foreign visitors came to India at different points of time. They closely observed the Indian way of living, traditions, practices, and people, and recorded their experiences in the form of travelogues, memoirs, and accounts. Special mention can be made of the Indica by Megasthenes, who was a Greek ambassador in the court of Chandragupta Maurya. It provides important information about the reign of Chandragupta Maurya, the Mauryan capital city of Patliputra, and the society at that time. Periplus of the Erythraean Sea by an unknown sailor and the Geography of India by Ptolemy are also well-known examples of ancient Greek writings on India. Other notable examples are the accounts of Chinese travelers Fahin, Huensang, and Ising, who visited India in different periods. These accounts are collectively called foreign literature. On the other hand, we have a bulk of literary texts written by Indians, which we call indigenous literature. Literary sources with unknown script. There are some ancient literary sources whose script has not been deciphered so far. The Harappan script, which continues to be a historical riddle, can be cited as the most striking instance. The peculiarity of this script is that one line is written left to right while the next line is written right to left. Such a script is called Bostrophodon.